Breaking, Nigel Farage just delivered the most explosive parliamentary speech of 2025. And what happened next has Westminster in absolute chaos. Labour MPs are reportedly in crisis meetings, financial markets are reacting, and the fallout from what Farage revealed about deportation policy, government spending, and alleged secret recordings could reshape British politics within days. If you want to understand what just went down and why this matters, stay with me, because this story has layers most outlets won't touch. Here's exactly what happened in Parliament today. At 2:47 p.m, Nigel Farage rose at the dispatch box holding what he described as confidential Home Office documents. His opening line was surgical. "Prime Minister, I have evidence that you personally intervened to block deportation flights, not for legal reasons, not for logistical reasons, but for political optics." The chamber erupted immediately. Starmer's face tightened. Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner visibly shifted in her seat. But Farage wasn't asking a question, he was building a case. If you want real political analysis without the spin, hit subscribe right now. We break down what's actually happening in Westminster every single day and we don't sugarcoat it. Farage produced his first piece of evidence, a Home Office memo dated November the 15th. According to Farage's reading, the document showed that 3 deportation flights carrying 347 individuals were cancelled following high-level government intervention. The alleged cost to taxpayers, £4.2 million in wasted preparations. "These aren't my words, Prime Minister," Farage declared, holding the paper above his head. "These are yours, your signature, your decision, your responsibility." Starmer attempted to respond, his voice cracking slightly. "The honourable member is misrepresenting," but Farage cut him off. "Misrepresenting? Let me read your exact words from this communication." The chamber went silent. Even veteran Westminster journalists looked stunned. Farage proceeded to read what he claimed was internal messaging, showing concern about public perception and activist backlash, influencing deportation timing. Whether the quotes were verbatim or paraphrased remains under investigation, but the implication was devastating. Policy decisions driven by political calculations rather than legal or operational necessity. Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor, buried her face in her hands. Foreign Secretary David Lammy stood and walked toward the exit. Several Labour backbenchers began shouting, "Order!" and "Point of order, Mr. Speaker," but that was just the opening act. What Farage did next transformed the session from political theatre into emotional warfare. He shifted to what he called the moral scandal hiding in plain sight, the treatment of British veterans compared to asylum seekers. "Mr. Speaker, while we debate numbers and documents, real people are suffering," Farage began, his tone shifting from prosecutorial to sombre. "Right now, across Britain, over 3,400 veterans who served this country are sleeping rough. These are men and women who risked their lives in Iraq, Afghanistan, the Falklands. And while they freeze on our streets, we're spending billions housing asylum seekers in hotels." He cited the Salvation Army's figures, 3,400 homeless veterans nationwide. Then he got specific. James Morrison, a decorated corporal, lost his leg in Helmand Province fighting for Britain. Last week, he was photographed sleeping under a bridge in Birmingham. His monthly disability payment is £823. That same week, leaked documents show each asylum seeker, housed at the Hilton Westminster, receives £2,100 per month in total support. The contrast landed hard. Labour MPs shifted uncomfortably. Tommy Wilson, Farage continued, served 3 tours in Afghanistan. He now lives in a tent near Manchester Piccadilly Station. Last week, temperatures hit -4 degrees. Tommy nearly froze to death. That same night, just 2 miles away, 280 asylum seekers stayed in heated rooms at the Britannia Hotel, costing taxpayers £130 per person per night. Farage let the numbers sink in, then delivered the calculation. That's £36,400 every single night at just one hotel. Multiply that across approximately 400 hotels nationwide, and we're talking about £14.6 million per night, nearly £5.3 billion per year. Then came the story that broke through the noise. Dorothy Matthews, 82 years old, from Blackpool, died last winter in her own home because she couldn't afford heating. Her daughter found her body. She froze to death in Britain in 2024. That same week, government spending records show £2.3 million was allocated to renovate a migrant processing centre, complete with underfloor heating and ensuite bathrooms. Several Labour MPs visibly recoiled. The emotional weight was crushing. 3 backbenchers were reportedly seen with tears in their eyes. not from sadness, but from the impossible position their party now faced. Then Farage played his nuclear card. At exactly 3:02 p.m, he pulled out his phone. "Mr. Speaker, I now have audio evidence that I believe the British public deserves to hear." The Speaker of the House, Sir Lindsay Hoyle, immediately interjected. "Order. The honourable member knows that unauthorised recordings are not permitted under parliamentary." But Farage had already pressed play. The recording was brief but devastating. A voice alleged to be from a recent government strategy meeting could be heard discussing migration figures. "We need to keep the real numbers quiet until after May. Tell the press anything, but the actual figures stay buried." Another voice, reportedly identified as a senior advisor, responded, "The real number is approaching 800,000 this year. If that leaks, we're finished." The alleged reply, "Then make sure it doesn't leak." The Speaker was shouting for order. Labour MPs were screaming, "Liar," and "Prove it." Conservative MPs were on their feet demanding investigations. The session had descended into complete chaos. Farage remained calm, almost eerily so. "Mr. Speaker, I will be providing all of this evidence, documents, recordings and testimony from Home Office whistleblowers, to the Metropolitan Police within the hour. If the Prime Minister believes I'm lying, he can sue me for defamation. I welcome it." The aftermath was immediate and brutal. Within 15 minutes of Farage's speech ending, financial markets reacted. The pound dropped 1.3% against the dollar. FTSE 100 futures fell 2.8% in after-hours trading. Morgan Stanley issued an emergency analysis note describing UK political risk as elevated and unpredictable. By 4 p.m, Starmer resign was trending number 1 globally, generating over 3.2 million posts per hour. Protesters began gathering outside Parliament. Initial police estimates suggested 15,000 people, though aerial footage indicated closer to 25,000 by early evening. Inside number 10 Downing Street, emergency cabinet meetings ran past midnight. Sources described the atmosphere as tense, defensive, and borderline panicked. Multiple ministers were reportedly arguing over response strategy, with some allegedly suggesting. Starmer addressed the nation immediately, while others recommended silence until evidence could be verified or disputed. But the real earthquake was political. Reform UK, Farage's party, announced that 50,000 new members joined within 3 hours of the parliamentary session. By midnight, that figure reportedly reached 127,000, a single-day record for any UK political party in the digital age. Their website crashed multiple times from traffic volume. The polling reaction was even more dramatic. The latest surveys show Reform UK surging to 31%, Labour collapsing to 22%, and Conservatives holding at 28%. If these numbers hold, it would represent the first time Reform UK has led national polling, and the worst Labour performance since Michael Foot's 1983 disaster. Bookmakers moved quickly. Ladbrokes now lists Farage as the 3-1 favourite to be Prime Minister after the next general election. Starmer has dropped to 7-2. So what happens next? Here's where this gets critical. Parliament reconvenes tomorrow with a motion of no confidence already tabled by the Conservative Party. The math is simple but devastating for Labour. They hold a majority of 174 seats, meaning 88 Labour MPs would need to rebel for the government to fall. Current estimates suggest 38 confirmed Labour rebels, with another 19 MPs described as considering their positions. Several more are reportedly waiting to see which way the wind blows. Behind closed doors, the rebellion is reportedly larger. WhatsApp groups with names like Survival Mode and Damage Control are allegedly filled with panicked messages. One leaked text from a cabinet minister read, "It's every person for themselves now, i.e." Constitutional experts are calling this the most significant parliamentary crisis since Margaret Thatcher's removal in 1990. Some are even discussing scenarios where the monarchy could intervene if governmental stability collapses, a possibility not seriously considered in the UK since the 1970s. Here's what we know for certain. Deportation flights were cancelled, costing millions in taxpayer money. Thousands of British veterans are homeless, while billions are spent on asylum accommodation in hotels. Farage played what he claims is audio evidence of government discussions about hiding migration figures. Financial markets reacted negatively to perceived political instability. Reform UK is experiencing unprecedented membership growth. Labour is polling at historic lows. And here's what remains unclear and under investigation: the authenticity of the documents. Farage displayed the legality and origin of the audio recording he played. whether the voices on the recording are accurately identified, whether criminal investigations will actually proceed, how many Labour MPs will ultimately vote against their own government. What's absolutely undeniable is this: Farage just changed the political conversation in Britain. Whether you think he's a truth-teller exposing corruption or a provocateur manipulating emotions, his speech was a genuine political earthquake. The question now isn't whether there will be consequences, it's how severe those consequences will be. Now I want to hear from you, and I mean it. Do you believe Starmer can survive this crisis, or is his government on borrowed time? Do you think Farage has the hard evidence to back up these explosive claims, or is this political theatre designed to destabilise? And most importantly, do you think the treatment of veterans versus asylum seekers represents a genuine moral crisis, or is it a false comparison? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one, and I'll be responding throughout the day. Real talk, real debate, no censorship. If this breakdown helped you understand what's actually happening beyond the partisan spin, share it with someone who needs the full picture. The establishment press will give you their angle. We're giving you the whole story, facts, context, and the questions that still need answers. This is the most important political moment of 2025 so far. Don't miss what happens next. Subscribe if you haven't already, because tomorrow's session in Parliament could be even more explosive than today's. The truth matters. Stay informed.